Today we're going to be showing a restoration of an old CBA kit from the 70s, 45 caliber Kentucky percussion rifle I built back then. This is what it looked like at that time. And here I have it taken apart with where I'd used a Scotch-Brite pad to brighten up the brass a little bit already. And that's Minwax poly shades on there. Real hard to sand off even with 100 grit sandpaper. The polymer stain is a pain in the butt. It dries rock hard. You can see it in the pores here. Little pores are full of that darker stain. And I lost the blade off the front sight too. I didn't make a two-piece front blade sight as anybody's guess. And here I wrapped the sandpaper around a round colored pencil to sand out the ramrod groove. That's a tough spot to get into and sand evenly. And back there by that last screw hole, I didn't sand all the way back in since that's completely covered by the brass ferrule anyway, where you can't see it. And I used medium lacquer thinner to clean the surface of the wood and let it soak in to where when it dries, it raises the grain and makes the 600 grit sandpaper sand it smoother than it could otherwise. So it's looking pretty decent. And here it is all. Excuse me, all sanded down. And here's what the brass all the brass basically looked like before I used the Scotch-Brite on to clean it up, and some 400 and 600 grit sandpaper to get out the burning sand and little blemishes. And here's the first coat of number 231 Minwax oil stain. And after I rubbed off the excess about 40 minutes later, little light, so second coat, you can see the second coat is a little clearer and more even. And here it is after I wiped it off. There's some lighter spots on the buttstock half you can't see, and the forestock's a little light, so I touched everything up a third time. And there it is after I wiped it off. I let it sit to dry for a day or two over the holiday. And before we go any further, I wanted to show you all this stuff that I'm using to sand down the stock and the Scotch-Brite pads for the color sanding and all of that. And here the buttstock section has had the first coat of true oil applied, another coat of stain on the forestock half to kind of get the tone to match better. And here you can see the buttstock half has like one coat of true oil on it, and the stain was drying on the forestock. Here the second coat of oil on the buttstock. You can't see it shine real good, but it deepens and evens the tone here. And one coat on the forestock. And here's the second coat of true oil on the forestock. You see it really brought up the shine and brightened the tone. And the different grits I used on shining up the brass, one grit at a time. You'll see in a minute here. And the different grits and the sizes of the paper and all that, so you can buy the same thing if you want to do it this way. Here's what the brass looks like after cleaning it up with the Scotch-Brite pads and 4 and 600 grit. Here's after 800 grit. Basically working my way up to 2500 grit here, one grit at a time, going up 500 each time. You can see it gets just a little more shiny and a few less the little sanding lines. It's all emery paper, wet or dry back, as you can see by looking at the back of the paper here. Now it's starting to get pretty shiny with the 2500 grit. It's not looking too bad, not good enough. And here is after the first rubbing of Neverdull, and a couple of rubbings later while watching. And with these other parts done here, I'm going to do the same thing basically with the brass butt plate here that I filed. It's curved, so I filed it to fit my shoulder back when I was a young man. Same grits in the same order and all of that. So you can see it gradually getting smoother and shinier. 2000 grit, you start seeing some shine. But you really start getting into 2500, that's where you got to get the little sanding lines and junk out. And here it is after a couple rubbings of Never Dull. And here I've put a third coat of True Oil on the stock because it seemed like it was a little thin. Looking at the way the pores in the wood were filling up from coat number 2. It should look a little shinier. You can see the tone is a little more even here, and you can see a bit more grain. Flash didn't go off on this one, but the forestock looks better than the butt section. Matter of fact, that's 2 thumbs up. Beautiful old gun. Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. We'll see you again next time when we see what we shall see with airgun shooting.